All right, we'll get going. It's a couple minutes after 12 here. Well, thank you all for joining me today here. This is a great class. I have taught this class all over the country. This will be a shortened version. The version I usually teach is a 4-hour class. So there's going to be a lot of information. So get your pen ready and to take notes, because that's mostly the biggest comment that I get off the class is that people took a lot of notes. I will share some of the slides that I'll put it into a PDF and be able to share it to y'all. All you gotta do is email me and I'll email this out to you. But if you guys have any questions along the way, I am a presenter where you can stop me at any time and ask questions, or if you need me to go back, I'm happy to. If for some reason the question comes a little off topic, I'll just let you know to email me, or we can handle it after class. But feel free to stop me along the way. All right. For some of you that don't know me, my name is Jack Bataoel. I am the commercial director, or I'm one of the commercial directors here at the Keller Williams office here in Clearwater. I've been in, make sure I'm going to get this to work here. There we go. Been in real estate for 15 years. Before I get there, I always like to go over and kind of introduce myself and who I am. I'm originally from Chicago. I came to Florida about 4.5 years ago, and came from real estate into real estate. I was with Keller Williams in the Chicagoland area. I have a beautiful wife and 2 children now. They are now 15 and 13. They grew up fast, Zach and Marion. And you can see our dogs there in the corner. That's Ernie and Vinny in their short haircuts. But we love to travel. We love the beach. We love the water. We love boating. And that's just kind of who we are. And we love to be around people. We're very social. Like I said, I've been in real estate for almost 15 years now. I started in the residential sector. Within about a couple of years, I did have a team of me starting. I was an entrepreneur by trade. I started as an entrepreneur when I was 18 years old. Owned multiple different businesses along the way. We'll talk about that here in a second. But the card here, the slide here, kind of goes through and kind of tells you the different things that I've done along the way. I'm a huge proponent of education. You'll see that I'm around a lot of classes. I'll take classes over and over again. I do classes within KWRI. I do MAPS classes. I do classes outside of the real estate industry as well. So I'm a huge proponent of education. I feel that that's how I got to where I am today, is through education. And we'll talk about education here in a second. But you can see all the different classes that I've taken as being part of Keller Williams. And Keller Williams, as you know, is a huge educational based company that just happens to sell real estate. But if I can urge you guys at all, you can see the slide at the bottom there, moving from E to P throughout the years. That's what I've done. And we're going to talk about E to P here in a second. One of my missions as a real estate agent and all my teams along the way is to transform lives, careers, and communities through real estate. And that's one of the things that I've always taken very personal and also in my professional career, is to be able to help as many people be able to transform their lives through real estate. If it's a career that they want to take hand in, how can I help them in their career to be able to move forward and be really successful. And you can see that communities through real estate is a huge part of it. And that's why we're here today. Part of me getting to where I am today, I've really attached on to community engagement, and we're going to learn what that's all about today. One of the things that I always like to go over 2 things before me starting any class, and that's failure. Failure is one of them, and then E to P is the next one. It'll be the next slide. But what creates success in your life? And Gary Keller has always said that it's okay to fail. And you can see from the slide here, what separates failure from success is not the act of failing, it's getting up. Everyone fails, but not everyone gets up. And when you get up, dust ourselves off, take lessons from what we learned, and try again. Once you make that connection, you wake up fearless. Failure builds you. Just remember that the greatest successes in any room is the ones who have failed the most. So I'll tell you a story. I failed a lot in my lifetime. As I said earlier, I was an entrepreneur since I was 18 years old. I was green. I was young. I didn't know what I was doing. All I knew is that, hey, I wanted to jump in the business and do something with my life and be an entrepreneur of some sort. And when that happened, I failed along the way. And one of the failures put me really, really far back. And it put me into a mental state of, I'm a failure. What's the point? I might as well just quit doing what I'm doing, move on to a different career, go get a 9-to-5. I lost everything. I went from being very successful to pretty much broke within a couple months. The economy was terrible. I felt like I needed to hide under a rock, never come out of my house, because I was worried about what others thought. And what you finally realize is that everyone fails in life, and it's okay to fail. And it doesn't matter where you are. If you fail in your career, failure within your relationships, friendships, spouses, just know that there's people out there that have been in the situation before, and they're willing to help you get out of that hole. And it's okay to say, hey, I'm not doing good. I failed. I screwed up. But like Gary says, it's about getting up. Instead of staying down, you got to get up. Get up every single day, dust yourself off, and look at it as a new day and keep on moving. And that is one of the greatest lessons that I've learned. How did I end up at Keller Williams? I ended up at Keller Williams because I realized that Gary and Keller Williams is one of the companies that says it's okay to fail. We're here to help you. And I was with another company prior to here. And every time I'd screw up, every time I'd make a mistake, they come down on you so hard that it was like, what is going on? And that's one of the things that I learned coming over to KW, is that it's okay to fail. So one of the things that I will throw out there is it doesn't matter where you are in your career, in your life, relationships, you'll be in a better place. Just keep your head up, be a proponent of education, like showing up today. Surround yourself with the right people, successful people, and you'll get yourself going in the right direction. All right. So one of the things, like I said, I always like to start a class with is there's something called 6 personal perspectives. And just by a show of hands for some of the screens that I can see, has anyone taken 6 personal perspectives, a class at Keller Williams? Okay. I see 1 or 2 here. So it's one of my first classes I took. It's probably one of my favorite classes that Keller Williams offers. And it goes through 6 different things that should be doing to be extremely successful, understand where you are with your life and your career. But the one I'm going to go over right now is what we call going E to P. It's going from your entrepreneurial style to your purposeful style. And what most of us do is we hit ceilings of achievement. We start a career, we start doing what we think is our natural ability. Our entrepreneurial style is our natural ability. It's what we can naturally do. It's the things we've learned over our lifetime. From our parents, from a prior career, from going to educational sessions like this. You learn as you go, and that becomes something what we call a natural ability. And what happens is we get to a certain point with our natural ability, and we hit this ceiling of achievement. And that ceiling of achievement is success. It could be success. But what happens is that you keep striving for more through that natural ability, and your natural ability can only get you so far. So what happens is you bounce off that ceiling, you come back down, you hit disappointment, you hit failure and what you think is failure. And the next thing you know, you don't want to go further up. You don't know how, you don't know what you're doing. And if you do go further up, you end up getting and you hit that same point again. And how do you get through that ceiling achievement? It's about being purposeful. It's about showing up today. It's about waking up every single day with a purpose on being able to say, I want to go to my next level. And how many ceiling achievements can you guys hit in a year? Many. In your career, hundreds. You have to know that you have a natural ability to get you to a certain level. And then once you get to that certain level, you have to be purposeful through training, coaching, consulting to be able to get through to that next ceiling of achievement. I'll tell you a story that I always add in right here is that I've been involved with coaching pretty much from my first year in the real estate industry. And throughout time, I've been part of MAPS coaching. I've had coaches throughout. I have a new coach right now. And throughout time, I've actually even had to change my coaches because my coaches were actually only able to get me to a certain ceiling of achievement. And I had to say, wait a second, I need something more. I need to be purposeful in the idea of being strategic and being able to get to a higher level. So I had to make coaching changes. I had to take a look at my models and my systems and say, okay, my models and systems are only getting me to a certain level. I need to add to them. I need to go check and see where other successful agents have been more successful than I have been. What's in their systems? What's in their models? Who's holding them accountable? So if anything, that out of all the classes I teach, I always talk about E2P because it's my favorite 6 personal perspective. And I feel like that is what made me finally open my eyes and realize that failure is only a short term. And if you can realize what your natural ability is, and then realize that if you're purposeful through training and coaching, you can get to your next level. And you can break through 1 million different ceilings to get you to where you want to be. So just thought I'd throw that out there. Does anybody, I'll kind of open it up here for a second. Does anyone have anything that where they were in their career that they realized the idea of E2P? And they realized that they needed more training. Does anyone have an example of where that can come from or how that can come into play? Anybody? Somebody? No? Okay. So I'll throw out something. So let's say you're in your career right now and you are selling 24 homes. And you feel like you've sold 24 homes year over year. And you're wondering, how are these other single agents, let's just use as an example, how are they selling 40 homes? How are they selling 50 homes? What are they doing different than what I'm doing? That's exactly the questions that you need to ask yourself is, how are they doing it? And if they're doing it, then I must be hitting a ceiling of achievement. I now have to get purposeful in coaching, training, consulting to be able to get to that next level. I have to look at my models and systems and say, something's not right. How am I going to get to the next level? And how do you do that? Pick up the phone, call the successful agents and see what they're doing and take a look at it. So that's just an example of going E2P. All right, let's jump into the class. So what we're going to go over today is, what is community engagement? Who do you engage? Why do you engage? Where do you engage? How do you engage? We're going to go through creative, you're going to create ideas, you're going to energize your mind in the idea of community engagement. And you can see at the bottom there, it says nuggets. Because early on in my career, I'd go to a couple of training sessions and they'd say, hey, make sure you pay attention to the nuggets in the class. So what is a nugget? A nugget is something that really strikes you to where you are in your business and you're like, it's basically an aha moment. And that something you're like, wait, I really like that idea. So what I can say is what my goal is that you guys take 2 nuggets out of today and you implement them in your business immediately. Now, I do understand we're in a totally different climate in our careers and in the atmosphere of what's going on in the world today. So you're going to see that I have little blue COVID things on some slides. And what that means is that's what you guys can still do in today's day, even with us on this somewhat of a lockdown, that you can still use community engagement in today's world. So what is community engagement? Community engagement is moving communities towards a positive change, leaving the community in a better place. So if you were to go and Google community engagement right now, you would find the craziest stuff. It's all about political. It jumps into all these different things. You'll see people writing papers on what community engagement is. This is what I feel community engagement difference. It's taking a community from point A to point B and creating an awesome change in between there. And you being part of that and leaving that community in a better place than it was the day before, the month before, the year before. And what that relates in our business is activities equals results, right? The more times we pick up the phone, knock on a door, call our sphere, our past clients, our current clients, the more activities that we do, the more results that we see. Same kind of concept in community engagement. You're taking communities and you're moving them to a positive change and leaving them better than they were the day before. So who do we engage? We can engage churches, non-for-profits, schools, local businesses, families, and you can actually even do civic duty. You can be part of a city council, city commission. You can be on a committee within a city, with the county, the state, right? There's all kinds of different things that you can do. So these probably 6 right here is what I concentrate on the most, or what I've noticed that I've concentrated on the most throughout my career. And you'll see that I'm going to go through a bunch of different things through today that kind of touches on each one of these, on how you can actually turn it and do it in your business right away today. All right, so why do we engage? What's interesting is that when I was developing this class years ago, I had just taught a class to my team on pre-listing packets, on the idea of why do you do a pre-listing packet? What's the reasoning behind it? So how many of you have pre-listing packets? If I can see a hand. Nobody has pre-listing packets? You do, I see 1, 2, okay, good. Pre-listing packets they're great, because what do they do? It's the same concept. So here I was teaching this class, and then I go the next day and I'm building this PowerPoint, and that is on the back of my office wall. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, how's this slide gonna go? And I can literally see the reflection of that board on my computer screen. And I'm like, wait a second, it's the same exact concept, right? So you engage in the community, you give a pre-listing packet to a client prior to you visiting them, okay? So what a pre-listing packet is let's say you're gonna go on a listing appointment next week on Monday. What you'll do is you'll put together a packet of information that talks about you, your company, your team, statistics, your value proposition, shows the customer who you are prior to you actually even getting to the door. What does that pre-listing packet do? It builds trust. It gains trust before you even get in the door, right? So if you're engaging in the community, what that does, it shows people that you're already out there. They can see you out in the streets. They see you being part of a non-for-profit. They see you at an event. It's building trust because now you're not just some random person that's going to go in their home for a listing presentation or show them a house, right? So what does it take away? It takes away objections. It takes away tension, right? So an example is, let's say you're going to go to somebody's house for a listing presentation. Let's say you were to go there and you don't give them a listing packet. They cold called you off of a card they found on the floor at the coffee shop. And they said, oh, this person sells real estate. I'm going to call them, right? So they call you, you go to their house, and all of a sudden they open their door like 2 inches and you see one eyeball looking at you. Can I help you? Yeah, I'm here for the listing appointment. Oh, okay. Well, what are they doing with that one eyeball? They're checking you out to see if they're scared of you, to see if they're even going to let you in the house, right? It takes away the idea of who are you? Why are you here? So the pre-listing packet builds that trust. It takes away any objections, takes away attention, takes away anything that you might do. So that's why we engage in the community. Get yourself out there so that people can see you, trust you, realize, meet you, shake your hand, not today, but in other situations, right? But now they got to give you an air hug. But anyways, the idea behind all of this is to increase conversions. So you do pre-listing packets to increase conversions. You engage in the community at a certain level to increase your conversions to get yourself out there. All right, so who do we engage? All right, so this is where the class gets interesting. So I'm going to go fast through some of this stuff. because like I said, I did cut this down, and I was trying to do the best I can to cut it down to the 2 hours. So some stuff we'll hang out on, some stuff we'll go through quick. Please stop me if you have questions along the way, and don't feel bad about stopping, because somebody else maybe even have the same question. All right, so let's meet Jackson the real estate dog. All right, so Jackson the real estate dog turned out to be a pretty amazing dog throughout the years. He came out, I think, in about 2008 or 9, and he became his own person. I mean, he was his own dog. He would go to all kinds of different places. He was in all the parades. He would go to kids' birthday parties. We had some semi-professional baseball teams in the Chicagoland area where I was. So he would go to that. He would go to the kids' schools. He hung out with, I don't know, does Florida have Ruff, the crime dog here? I'm thinking that was an Illinois thing, but state of Illinois had a crime dog, and he would go to the crime dog. He would go hang out with other mascots on different things. So an outfit like this I think this one cost me about $400, but that $400 went a long way. We would have kids at parades just running right up to him, calling him by his name. I'm Jack, so he was named Jackson. He was Jackson the real estate dog. So fast forward a few years, in parades, kids knew his name. They knew who he was. They knew his name. They knew everything. Knew he was the real estate dog. He went everywhere with us. Anywhere we had an event, he always went. And we actually had requests for him. He'd go to our clients' birthday parties. He was cool. He was a cool dog. And literally, he had his own personality. And he had his own Facebook page, as you can see there. Kids would communicate with him. It's kind of funny. He would get little messages on there saying, "Hey, this is Johnny. You know, is Jackson going to be at the parade? I want to give him a high five." And you realize it's one of the kids sending him a message. But anyways, outfit like that, like I said, is about $400. And I would have sometimes we'd have agents on our team do it. I had a couple of good friends that would do it. And they would jump in it, and some people loved it. I mean, they loved being inside Jackson because it just brought a different person out. It was just fun to do because you're behind the mask, right? But anyways, so Jackson, the real estate dog, he was pretty cool. He was a big part of our team throughout the years, and he did make it to Florida, but he got some damage along the way, so he hasn't been fixed yet. But anyways, Jackson's cool. All right, next thing. Now these are expensive. This is obviously not low-hanging fruit, but wrap trucks throughout the years for me has been a huge thing. You'll see it here throughout the slides. We use the wrap trucks in parades, in different events. We'll use it for non-for-profits when non-for-profits need to move things around. We'll volunteer the trucks for all kinds of different things. We actually had trailers along the way that were wrapped as well. But our wrap trucks, they're obviously a marketing piece, but they're also used for community engagement. You have to use them right. You'll see agents with moving trucks where they wrap the moving truck and they let non-for-profits use it, or if you buy or sell a home with them, they can use it. But ours is used a little bit different. Our trailers are used for clients to move stuff, but ours are used a little bit differently. You'll see along the way as we go. So just so you know, like the commercial truck that we just got wrapped last year before here in Florida, that cost me $2,700 to do that full wrap. The blue truck on the right side of the screen there, amazingly, I still have that truck. That truck has gone through probably 5 or 6 different wraps. I had a painting company prior to getting in real estate, interior exterior painting, and that truck was actually wrapped with the painting company. Funny thing is, we still have that truck right now. We use it as our beach truck to pull the boat, and it's going to be going to our 16-year-old here in a couple months. But the interesting story about that is we took the wrap off of it and the paint from as old as that truck is and is in perfect shape besides two little spots that has rust on it. And the guy that came out to detail it after we took the wrap off of it was like, what? I don't understand. Why is this thing in such good shape? Was the garage kept? It was because the wrap kept it sealed throughout all those years. So anyways, now can you do a smaller scale of this? Can you do a half wrap? Can you put just do something right on the back of windshield of your car? Absolutely, you can. And you'll see, I'll show you how you can use that vehicle with having some wraps on it in some different ways in the community. As you can see here, you can see that we use them in parades. There's just in the Palm Harbor, Dunedin area, there's Christmas parades. So we're in both of those. In the Illinois area, between the 3rd and the 4th of 4th, we were probably in 6 or 7 different parades throughout time. And we would go from one parade to the next between the 2 days, and lots of different candy and different things that we would throw out. And you can see on there, we actually pulled some of our clients and some of our friends' kids, and they love it. We would pull baseball teams, softball teams, soccer teams, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. We did all kinds of different things with the trailer, pulling them in the parades. You can see we've decorated the trucks, done some different things with the trucks, depending on the holiday itself. All right. Next thing, joining the Chamber of Commerce's, being involved in that aspect. So there's different types of groups. I'm sure you guys have always heard, joining the Chamber of Commerce, get involved. This is something you can do right now. You can see there's the first logo, or the second one there, COVID 2020. This is showing you that this is still working today. Our team right now is still involved in chamber activities. A lot of them are on Zoom. But you're still networking, you're still out there, you're still doing things. We're part of, I think, 3 different chambers. We're part of Dunedin, Palm Harbor, downtown St. Pete, and then in Clearwater, so 4 different ones. Clearwater just merged theirs into what they call Amplify Clearwater. But there used to be a Clearwater Beach one, and then a City of Clearwater one, and they merged those 2 now into Amplified Clearwater. But here's the thing about chambers. There's all kinds of different activities that you can do. There's before hours and there's after hours. You can get demographics from them. Sometimes you get mailing lists from them. You can do a business showcase. You can actually, that bottom left picture was at East Lake Woodlands. That was a Palm Harbor, I think, showcase, that particular one. But here's where you really get involved and you get things back out of events or out of chambers is joining a committee. Being involved in a committee is where you get the most out of joining a chamber of commerce. Do you have to run the committee? No, you just have to volunteer to be on the committee. There's all kinds of different committees that you can be on inside chambers. What the committees do is they run different things. So they'll run golf outings, they'll run social events, they'll be in charge of the before hours, after hours. There's all kinds of different things that you can be doing on committees. But what it does for you as a real estate agent and how it works for community engagement is, 1, you're helping your community. That's what this class is all about. I really like to be engaged in the community. I like helping out the community, doing good things for the community. But for your business, when you're actually involved on your business aspect, if you're just a member of a chamber, you're a number, right? You're paying your $295 or $195, whatever it might cost you to be part of that. And then you're just listed as a member. What does that do for you? Probably on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe that's a 2 or a 3. I mean, just being a part of a chamber doesn't do much for you. You have to be involved. You have to be engaged. So let's take yourself from 400 members and put yourself in a room with 8 to 10 people. Now you're getting somewhere. Now you're building relationships with that 8 or 10 people. And now you're with them, you're helping out, you're doing something good, you're doing something more over and above what somebody else might be doing. Now those people like to give you business. So go out, if you're going to join a chamber, don't just write a check and be part of their website or be part of their little book and say, oh yeah, I'm a member of the chamber. No, get involved. That's where you're going to get the most out of it. Okay, so There's all kinds of different things that will hopefully strike your interest once you join. So when you join, ask them, what kind of different committees do you have? How can I get involved? Getting involved is how you get the most out of being part of a chamber. There's other groups as well. So there's a lot of the groups, or a lot of the towns around the area that have downtown associations, or they have what they call merchants associations. And those are kind of a little bit different than Chamber of Commerce's. They're involving maybe just businesses. So I'm going to give the example of the Downtown Dunedin Merchants Association, what you might otherwise known as the DDMA. That association is strictly business to business. It's all about marketing and helping the businesses in downtown Dunedin thrive, make money, do good things, right? How do we increase their bottom line to draw traffic to the downtown? Now, what can they do for your business? I'm part of that. I'm at every event. I'll show you our tent here in a second. I have a tent at every event. I volunteer. I'm actually the president of the Downtown Merchants Association presently right now. So I'm at everything. And what do you think I'm wearing? I'm usually wearing my shirt like this. I'm wearing a logoed piece of something, right? They all know in that merchant association that I'm a commercial real estate agent. And anytime there's an event, I drive our wrapped truck. That's where the truck comes back into it. So being part of it, I'm doing a good thing because I'm trying to help those businesses grow. This has given me an opportunity to be on TV. You know, as the president of the association, we throw a couple big events prior to COVID, and I was able to go on TV. I was on 6 morning shows throughout the area. And what did those morning shows ask right away? Well, we know this is a volunteer. What do you do in life? So on national TV, I'm talking about that I'm a commercial real estate agent for Keller Williams, right? It's given me that ability to be able to do that while engaging in the community. Okay. All right. So the next thing, this is a Central Pinellas. I am not a member of this, but you can go ahead and you can Google all kinds of different chambers. It depends on what level you want to get into. I will tell you, getting back to the DDMA is more of a non-political affiliation, I guess I would say. Chambers usually have a little bit of a political affiliation to them, non-biased either way between party lines, but there's usually a little bit more tie-in to them, where the smaller organizations are usually about business to business. So go ahead and Google wherever you're at. You know, you can be in Miami, you can be in Sarasota, you can be anywhere. Find those organizations, get involved, but don't just write a check. Get involved with the committee. Do something good. We talked about civic duty. Where I came from in Illinois, I was a liquor commissioner there. One of the things I didn't mention early on is that I was in the nightclub business for 13 years. My wife and I owned a nightclub. It was a college nightclub at Illinois State University. When I retired out of that business and sold that business off, the city came to me immediately, and I knew everybody. I knew everybody in the town because I was in real estate and I owned the bar. The mayor came to me and said, "Hey, we need you to be the liquor commissioner." So I was liquor commissioner there for 3 years, but that was my civic duty. I was involved in the community. Did it help me? It absolutely did, because I would get business. The more engaged I was in the community, the more people I was around, the more events I was at, the more and more people knew that I was in real estate. So is there something that you like being a real estate agent? Most of us like homes, right? That's why you got into it. You like the idea of showing homes. Homes interest you. Well, cities, counties, they have committees that are around historic homes, historic preservation, if that's something that you might like. Building and zoning, you can be on the building and zoning committee. What does building and zoning do for you? On the commercial real estate side, that's my next move at some point here in the future, is that I'm either going to get involved at a city level somewhere or a county level on the building and zoning committee. And that's going to allow me as a commercial real estate agent to kind of know things prior to. I'll know when things are coming in to get approval, and I'll know when a development's going to start happening, right? And then I can start paying attention to what's going on around the land and be able to use that in my business to gain more business. So there's all kinds of different things. If you have interest in that, in any of these things, you can always reach out to me and we can brainstorm a little bit on how we can get you involved. This is an interesting one. I was in our team. Our team was actually really involved in this idea. So this is called parking days, and this is really used in really urban areas where there might be high rises with not a lot of green space. People don't have you know, outdoor spaces that they can have a barbecue on. Uh, Florida, this could be a little bit, maybe a little bit different because people are always outside here. But in Illinois, it worked out good, and I always leave it in these slides. So what we did is you close off parking spaces and you make them outdoor areas. So you can see in some of the photos here, people had all kinds of different things. These are just the photos that I used. You can see that we made a little nook here for reading on the top left-hand corner. And we borrowed some benches from a non-for-profit. We just, people hung out on that. And then actually the city that day allowed people, there was a winery right to the left of that. They were letting people go out there and drink their wine on the street and have fun. And that stayed out for a couple days. You can see that we had a little game area that people came in and hung out on. This went up and down all the streets, and our team was a big factor in this. All our agents pitched in and got it organized and set it up. So what I'm saying and why I'm using this slide in actuality is to show you that if you are part of a team, or you have 2 or 3 agents that want to get together and figure out an event to be able to put in a town, something like this, get together, because what happens is you end up working with all kinds of different people to put something like this on. You end up working with the business owners, with the community, with the city personnel to put something like this on, and it gets your name out there, gets you to have more conversations. Last year, we were part of, obviously there's lots of events that go on throughout the town. So this was the Music Fest that we sponsored. This was our 2nd year sponsoring this. You can see the tent there. This is actually the slide prior to had our residential tent on there, but this is our commercial tent. And then this year I pumped it up a little bit, threw a little bit more money into it, and I bought these t-shirts that just says Love Downtown Palm Harbor, and I put our logo on the back, and I handed them out for free. We handed out 1,000 t-shirts, and what's so cool about that now is you see people walking around with them everywhere in Palm Harbor. You'll go to the Y, you'll be at the beach, you'll go to the grocery store, and people are wearing them. And then you can see the koozies. I got one right here actually as well, but you can get these koozies are very, very cheap. I have them that say all kinds of different things on them. Like this one says Love Downtown Palm Harbor. I've Love Downtown Dunedin. We have a Tampa Bay one because we were doing an event in Tampa Bay. So there's all kinds of different ways to do it. So the reason I throw this slide up here with the attorney next to me, if you can see Fran Hatch right next to me there. Fran she's the one that should be doing this class. She is so engaged in the community and does all kinds of the same things that I do, but hers are at a whole nother level. She has an entire 5-person team that does only community engagement throughout the entire state of Florida. I don't know if you can see that gentleman in the back. I think his name is Mike, if I remember right. And you can see Mike drives a wrap truck. And prior to COVID, obviously, they would do 5 to 6 events like this with tents a day. And he would drive all throughout Pinellas County and Hillsborough County and put these tents up. And he put them all up, and then the workers would show up and man the tent. Their calendar was so crazy. They have 2 wrap trucks like that. Just here in this office for the Tampa Bay, or I guess I would say Pinellas County. And then they have an office in Hillsborough and Fort Lauderdale, I think. But he says that it's crazy, all the events that they're at. And they just hand out stuff and go to all kinds of different events. Pretty interesting. All right, next thing, community baskets. Community baskets are awesome. There's all kinds of different things that you can do with gift baskets. And where do you find these gift baskets? Like, how do you know where to give them out? Just pay attention to Facebook. You'll see people doing a fundraiser. If you go on Facebook and you go to events in your area, you can see that people are throwing charity events. They're throwing fundraisers. What can you do? You just call them up and say, hey, I'd love to be able to put a gift basket in. Is it okay? They're not going to say no, because that's what the whole idea is. They're they're fundraising money, right? Can I come to the event if I do a basket? Yeah, why not? What do? You go to the event, right? Introduce yourself on what you do and give something with the basket. In a little bit here, I'm going to throw a huge bonus into this gift basket and how you can make this gift basket basically go on steroids. But this is easy way to do it. Not all of these. I think the St. Patty's Day one is ours, and the Nerf one is ours. I pulled the other ones off of Google. But we did all kinds of different stuff. Our team would build them. We'd make small ones, big ones, just depending on how many people were going to be at them. And that's how we did judge them. If we realized that it was going to be a huge charity event, we did a bigger basket. If it was going to be a smaller one, we'd do a little one. And then some we did alcohol in them, some we didn't. Just really depends on kind of what was going on in them. And if you're just starting out, you do not need to do a huge basket like this. You can do one little thing in wrapped in plastic. It could be a bottle of wine that costs you $12. The idea is that you're participating in that fundraiser. And the people who are running those fundraisers, they love it. They love that you want to participate. They don't care if it's a $5 ticket item or a $500 ticket item. They just want something in there because you're donating it and they're going to make money off of that, right? So whenever you see them on Facebook, coffee shops. A lot of times you'll see them in coffee shops where there'll be a flyer as you're walking in and out. Some grocery stores have a little community board. Look for community boards and you'll find fundraisers that you can be part of. Local restaurants also are where the fundraisers are at most of the time. So if you're really engaged in your community, you can ask them, hey, do you have any fundraisers coming up anytime soon? Walk in, introduce yourself to the manager, and say, hey, I was just wondering if you had any fundraisers coming up. You'll end up realizing a lot of the restaurants that do fundraisers are very proactive with fundraisers, and then you'll pay attention to their Facebook page. For instance, an example of that is Pisces in downtown Dunedin. They do a lot of fundraisers for different community organizations. So we are part of most of her fundraisers that she does there because it's easy for us. People come to her because they know that she's very active with them, and then we throw in different gift baskets and gift certificates and all kinds of different things, right? You can take this a step further and do what I would consider like a double engagement, where instead of buying random stuff like this, you go to a small business and you make a gift basket out of a small business on what they have. So it could be anything. It could be a small business wine shop, clothing boutique, something like that. You can buy a gift certificate and something else. So now you're helping small businesses, especially like today, and you're also helping a charity. All right. So hang on a little bit. We'll show you show you the steroids on how we add steroids in that basket. Okay. So we were very heavily part of a non-for-profit in Illinois. My team was, a phone call was made to me and said, hey, can you donate some money towards a non-for-profit? It's called West Bloomington Revitalization Project. And it started as a 6 women around a table in what we would consider as somewhat of a blight area of town in Illinois, where I was at. And they said, we're trying to get this non-for-profit going, and we're looking for people to donate some money towards the organization. So I'm like, sure. I said, but I want to know more about it. Fast forward 5 years later, our team funded that non-for-profit for probably about 50% of their budget. Our team loved it. We loved being part of it. We helped that organization grow from basically 2 programs to 9 different programs that helped it with the community. BLITZ, which I'll talk about here in a second, was one of those programs that we provided beds to underprivileged kids. But we helped owner-occupied homes in the area that needed roofs. We would get grants from all kinds of different places. We ended up growing that non-for-profit. It now has its own building. It has a tool library inside of it. It's one of the other programs where we rent free tools out to the community. State Farm Insurance was one of the big players in that. They donated $25,000 And they continue to do that year after year to supply the tool library with more and more tools. So the reason I tell that whole story about all of that is that if there's a non-for-profit out there that really grabs at your heart and you realize that you think you can do something bigger with it, go for it. And as you know, being part of Keller Williams, you know that there's people out there that love to give. You can take a non-for-profit that in our situation, it was doing maybe $2,000 a year. It now does about $750,000 a year to what it is today. And I'm very, very proud to say that my team was a big player in that. Real estate is what made that non-for-profit be able to be what it is today. So the Bed Blitz was a huge part of that organization. And we ended up doing it twice a year, and we were able to get all the wood donated, all the mattresses donated. And then what we did is we rented a big warehouse and we set up different stations, and businesses came in with their employees and built the beds. And it was such a cool thing. And I know there's like 2 or 3 organizations here in Tampa Bay, that does it. And I haven't been part of any of them. But as you can see here, this picture right here is actually my mom and dad and my wife and 2 kids. And I don't know if you noticed, but you can see the red shirts there that they were wearing. Well, those red shirts had our logo on the front and the Bed Blitz logo on the back. And I didn't take a picture. We could never find it when I was building this presentation a couple years ago. But I ended up giving out all those shirts for free to all the workers that were building the beds. And I think we gave away like 500 shirts every time we had a Bed Blitz, and everybody would wear those Bed Blitz shirts because it had the logo on the back and those on the front. So the best part about this entire story is what the actual non-for-profit does in the community. Yeah, it's awesome that we get a return out of it from a business side of it, but the non-for-profit helps so many families, so many children that would otherwise not be able to have the means to be able to do it. And my dad and I delivered beds one time, and it was heart-wrenching to see where we were delivering these beds to and what the people and the children were living in. And it's just nice to know that we're making such a good effort to make a change in the community. So I always like to bring up the next part of this is that, and this is just another slide, people think, and I know this because of me teaching this class, that they feel weird going into a non-for-profit, volunteering and wearing a logoed shirt. They feel like they're doing a weird thing by, hey, I want to volunteer, but oh, by the way, this is my business name, just so you know. Here's my card. This is what I do. I sell real estate, right? There's actually a lot of people out there that are 100% okay with you doing that. They want you to engage. They are happy that you're volunteering, and they want to give back to you for you volunteering. So it is okay for you to say, hey, I'm going to volunteer here, but I'm also going to hand out my cards. I'm going to hand out koozies. I'm going to hand out t-shirts, right? I was one of those people. I would volunteer. My wife would volunteer. We wouldn't wear anything logoed. I was against it. I thought it was weird. And then finally people were like, wear a shirt. Like these big community people that were involved in the community for so long doing volunteering, they're like, wear your shirt. What are you doing? Like, that's not right. We want to give back to you. So the other volunteers that are there, they want to give back to you because of what you've put into the community. And it ended up being a big part of my business. And that is why we kept on giving back more and more back to the charity, because we were getting so much out of it. And that was why it fulfilled me to say that it was okay to give money back to them. So I always like to throw that out there because I know there's some people out there that think that, oh, I shouldn't be doing my logo. I shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff. All right, next slide talks about home shows, builder shows. I know they're every 6 months around here. And people think, oh, I don't want to go to those. You know what? If you do the right things at those events, you can end up doing some really, really good business out of that. And how do you maximize it is what I want to talk about here. We all know that we can go there, we can hand out koozies and pens and pads of paper and your card. I get all that, right? You can see in the photo on the left there. But there's things that you can do more at a home show to be able to get people to really understand you. One of the things on that, you can see that here on the right-hand side, I went and I interviewed other people at the home show. Not the people coming into the home show, the vendors at the home show. So I would go through and I was going through, this is a roofer right here. I just went through and I interviewed him and on camera. And I just said, hey, this is, his name is Jason. He's with All Seasons Roofing. And we just talked about what kind of roofing he does, all kinds of different things. And we made a video and I put it on Facebook, tagged his company. I gave it to him. He put it on his Facebook, right? Tagged us. And next thing you know, it's all over social media. Well, this particular home show, I did it with like 20 different businesses that were there. And I just went around. Now, if you're a person that's not so thrilled with being on camera, that's okay. I urge you to get over that because it is 2020. But if you're still kind of worried about being on camera, what's the next thing you can do? You can blog, write a couple sentences, take a picture of their booth, put it on their Facebook and say, hey, this was the person who's right next to me. They do blah, 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 right? And next thing you know, you share it on social media, you put their business in there, and they're sharing it away, right? So if you're not a huge cam person, just go and take a picture of their thing and just put a post out there. The other things we did I will say are good things at home shows. On the left side there, you can see there's a little table there. That's a kids area. So we would have a balloon person come, make balloons in our little kids area. And what did it do? It kept the kids occupied while we can talk to the parents. We made coloring sheets that you can get off the internet, and then we put our logo in the side of it. So you can go get coloring sheets that are houses, right? Or whatever you like, a sunshine, and you put your logo in the bottom of it. And there's all kinds of different things you can do with that. But they would just go, the kids would color the photo, right? And then you're talking to the parents. Now you can always have giveaways at a home show. The giveaways can be a gift card or whatever you might want to do. But I'll show you the awesome giveaway that goes in gift baskets. You can also use it at home shows here in a second. But so anyways, the idea behind it is be different. Don't just put a table there and wait for people to walk up to your table and hand out your business card. You are now the average real estate agent that's at a home show. Do something different. Have a kids area. Go interview the people there, right? Hand out something different that somebody else might not hand out. And then the other thing that we had is we had a photo booth. And you can see the thing in the back has our logo and stuff on it. And you can see there's a little Tupperware container there. But we had a photo booth. People would come in and we would take their photos and we'd print it off. And I'll show you all of that stuff here in a bit in one of these slides. But the photo booth idea was huge. We just get people in and out of that booth all day long taking photos. And it's easy to do. And I will show you the equipment, but you do not need to go full out. These days, you can collect phone numbers. You can have them use their whole photo booth, take it with your phone or a nice camera and say you're going to email the photo to them later. You're going to text them the photo to their phone later. Easy, right? It allows you to gain some contacts. LA Fitness or your local gym is a good one. LA Fitness across the country has community small business days, at least once a quarter, where you can come in and you can set up a table inside their gym. Now, I don't know what they're doing with COVID, but normally LA Fitnesses across the country allow you to do it. So we were doing 2 to 3 LA Fitnesses when we came to Florida. We were doing a couple, and then we kind of got into some small gyms here. But anyways, you can see here. What did we do? We had our sign set up, and then we were able to put a post online, right? And be able to show that that's where we are, that they can come visit. So the side panels there, those are about $100 that you can get from any sign company, or you can get them offline. Most internet companies have them. The local companies around town also have them. The table skirts, usually those are about $80. So sometimes you might be able to find them cheaper. But local gyms are an easy one. All right. So this is the secret to giveaways. This is how you really, really entice people to come back to you, to use you. Now, let me preference something. I have never been a discount broker, and we're not going to talk commissions today, but I've never been a discount broker. I'm just against it. I feel like we offer a ton and we should be paid for what we do. Okay. This program is a way to gain business, but understand that these are not things you pass around on the street to every single person. This is used for a charity to make money, and lots of it off of something that you give them. All right, so how it works, we have a VIP buyer's package and a seller's package. These are basically like gift certificates. And what it does, and the other thing I will preference with is that I urge you to check with an attorney to go over what you can and cannot do, or your broker. Obviously, most of us on here are probably with Nikki and Gary, so I would check with Nikki and Gary first before going in and doing something like this. But I will tell you, in Illinois, it was legal. In Florida, it is legal. You can do it. But you got to be careful on how you do it and make sure you do it the right way. So what you're doing here is you're basically paying for different things that your buyer or your seller might need on their home. So you can see that we gauged it. So on the left side here is what their sale price would be. And in the column next to it is what you're giving back to them, okay, off your commission. And you can see that we cap it. Now you can make this however amounts you want to make it. You can make all of these $100 if you want, right? So the idea here is that this goes inside those gift baskets. You then go to the charity event and you talk about this. A lot of times they gave me the microphone and they said, you talk about it. These, at most of the time, if I was at the charity event and I was able to speak on the microphone, these were up there with the vacations. If you go to a bigger charity event, you'll see that they'll auction off vacations or vacation homes or day on the boat or whatever, and they go for a lot of money. These go for a lot of money. The highest one that I ever had one go for was $2,000 to a charity. Somebody paid $2,000 to get this gift certificate. Okay. And the reason is because it was a write-off to the charity, and they gave it to their grandkids. Their grandkids were going to be buying a house, and the grandparents wanted to support the charity. And then they ended up getting their grandkids, I think it was, they bought like $250, so it was $1,500. Now, did grandpa and grandma pay $2,000 for it? Yeah, but they were giving it to the charity anyways, right? So this is a great way. And then they actually gave it to them as a Christmas present to their grandkids. And what did their grandkids have to do? They had to use us. Now we just got a client. Now you do the commission in your head off of normal commissions. We helped the charity out, get $2,000. We had to give up $1,500. But how much was our commission off normal commissions off a $250,000 house? And we got a client. So the best one is that we had a person buy they ended up buying like an under $100,000 house. Well, that person ended up being a client with us. They bought 3 houses and 2 rental properties with us off of this. Did we give them the same discount every single time? No way. They just got it on their first one. They became a lifetime client of ours, right? So, which I still talk to today. He calls me all the time and asks me different questions because he's become a real estate investor in the Illinois area. So anyways, so you get the idea of it. These are the letters that would go out. And I do want to open it up to questions because usually people start firing questions at me right now. And this whole Zoom thing throws everything off. But fire away at some questions on this because I always get questions at this point in the class. Where do we use it? How can we use it? Now, we've used them at the LA Fitnesses. We've used them in the gift baskets. We've used them in all kinds of different ways. Usually the best way to do it is to use them for charities. And the best way to do it is make sure that you are actually at the event to talk it up, is how you do it. So does anybody have any questions?
Yes, Jack, how do you use it at the LA Fitness? Because I've been doing volunteer over there before the COVID. And I was doing it at the beginning of the month, at the end of the month.
Okay.
I mean, how do you use the certificate, the giveaway?
Yeah, so you can do it in two different ways. You can do the old school, fill out the app, fill out the little sheet, and we're going to put you in a box, and we're going to pick your name out. Or what I would do with our agents there is I'd say get a good conversation going with somebody, build rapport, make sure that you think they're actually going to buy a house, and then go give it to them. Go walk over to them and be like, hey, my supervisor, or hey, we had some extra ones of these left over, and make it look like you're giving them something that, can help out. Say, hey, use this. If you use this, you're going to get $1,500 back, or you're going to get $1,000 back. Or you don't want to do those amounts, do $100. Hey, you're going to get $100 back. Now you can do it. You can see that when we did it, we paid the home warranty company, the home inspection. We had radon by us, termite, closing costs. We paid the attorneys directly, not off the settlement sheet, directly. You can pay them on a settlement sheet. It just gets deducted off your commission. But that's how we did it. So Myra, to get back at your question, that's how we did it there.
Okay.
You can do a Dropbox, or you can just have a good conversation with them, and then see if they're willing to take it from you, right? If they don't,
yes.
We know that there's high statistics with gift certificates, right? That people don't use them.
That's true.
Right, but our main objective on these was non-for-profits. That's where our charity fundraisers. For whatever it might be, for a family, a GoFundMe. Speaking of GoFundMes, I didn't mention it earlier. I had it on there, but I didn't mention it. GoFundMes is another way to pay attention. So let's say we all get them, right? We get them in our Facebook feeds right now. You'll see, hey, GoFundMe for this family that lost this or needs help or whatever it might be. Sometimes I contact them and say, hey, I'm going to give away this gift basket online, and then I'm going to donate all the money back to you, right? Or if you want to do it, you're welcome to. I'm going to donate this gift basket to you guys, and you guys can raise money off this gift basket and throw this package into it. But GoFundMes are another way to kind of see where you can help out. So.
Thank you, Jack. Great information.
Can you go back to that slide that you showed after this for 2 seconds?
Oh yeah, sorry. I thought it was too small, so I didn't. That's why I went back. Okay, so the one on the left is similar to the slide I just had, but you can see the one on the right is our award letter, and that was what we had. So just so nobody gets confused here, when I first came to Florida, I came with the intention of starting a residential team, and I ended up refocusing myself. I was already doing commercial back in Illinois, and I ended up refocusing myself and saying that I didn't want to do commercial, or I'm sorry, I didn't want to do residential, and we just jumped into commercial full time. Just so no one gets confused with some of this stuff. But is there any other questions on this? No? All right. Next one is our Christmas giveaway. The Christmas giveaway is kind of a cool story. My wife and I over the years, were kind of always being a little bit of a secret Santa. We would get families. My wife is a school teacher by trade, and we would get lists of kids that we knew were going to be in need of some help during Christmas, or families, and we would contact the parents, and we would go out and we'd buy presents for 5 or 6 families, and we were doing this for years. And long story short, in that we were doing it as a total secret Santa. I never did it through the business. It goes back to what I was talking about earlier. is that it wasn't about me putting my logo on stuff and putting my name out there. We were literally going right to the parents and saying, I know you need help. We found out through schools. This is how we want to help. We're going to take care of your whole family. Right. And that transformed. One year I had an assistant. Well, not 1 year. I had my executive assistant at the time. She was like, we can make this so much bigger. Like we can get sponsors. We can do all this stuff. So my executive assistant like ran with this idea, and she built this thing up it was the first year that it just got big really fast. We went and we got sponsors. Businesses were just writing checks to be part of it. They didn't even want their name on the thing. They were just writing us checks. I remember one year we raised like $7,500, and we ended up helping I know this one says 33 kids and 13 families. I think there was one year we helped like 60, 70 kids. It was super cool. It was awesome. And we tried to do as best we could with being practical with the stuff that they needed. And we went and we took it online one year. And you can see the slide on the left is the nomination form that we made. So we took it online and we took it to social media, and we had thousands of entries. We had so many entries that there was no way that we can handle all of it. So we ended up going to there was like 4 or 5 different organizations that did this similar thing. We ended up having a round table, and we were able to try to figure out how to help all of these families and who was going to do what and who was going to do, different stories. So the story that I like to tell is in college, I was part of a fraternity, and I was a big fraternity guy. I wouldn't be where I am right now on the business side of things if I didn't join my fraternity. Were we social and had fun, and were we crazy and drank and did all that stuff? Absolutely. I had a very fun college career. But the business side of fraternity taught me so much about managing people and business, and it's brought me to where I am today. There's no doubt. But when we did this event and we put it online, there was an older fraternity brother of mine that lived in the area. And all of a sudden I'm looking at the sheets. It's on a big screen TV in a conference room, and I'm looking at this Excel sheet that it all populates into. And I see this name on there, and I'm like, that can't be him. And so I kind of Google it. I'm like, wait a second. It's talking about his kids and about all this stuff. And they have to fill out a paragraph about like what's going on, right? I had no idea what was going on with this guy. He never reached out. I was one of a couple fraternity brothers that lived in the area. He never reached out, never said anything. His home was in pre-foreclosure. It was crazy. And so I called him. And I'm like, hey, did you fill this form out? Did your wife do it? What's going on, man? And he told me the whole story. And here I am, like, on tears on the phone. So I called basically all our fraternity brothers, and we raised close to $50,000 for him. Took his house out of foreclosure. It was crazy. It still brings me almost tears now, but it was crazy. And it was all because of this. Of us being able to do this event, this Christmas giveaway, that we were able to actually help somebody that was near and dear to my heart that I didn't even know needed or had the issues. So it's pretty cool. So how can you do this within what you're doing right now? If you're not on a team and you're a single agent, join up with a couple agents, put it together. We see agents doing it here all the time, where they're coming together and doing different things. The KW cares and all kinds of different things that goes on. Get together with a couple agents. Easiest way to find these families is to go to schools. If you guys still have little ones that are in school, go to their teachers and say, hey, me and a couple other real estate agents are getting together, and we want to help out the kids in need. And you can do this with Thanksgiving, any holiday you can do it with, right? And then go out to your allied partners, go to your home inspectors, go to your termite, right? Go to your lender, go to your title company and say, hey, I'm doing this giveaway and I need some backing. Do you have to throw in your own money if you do it? No. You just got to run it. You got to have the heart is what you have to have here. You don't need your own money. You go find your money. There's dozens and dozens of people out there that will help you. All you gotta do is call the phone tree in KW and ask them for $25, and you're gonna have two grand in a couple days, right? To do something like this. And do you need to help 50 kids? No. Start with 5 kids, 6 kids. Do it that way and build yourself up from there. But one of the things that I will tell you is that we always went to the parents. We wanted the gifts to be from the parents, not from a stranger. That was my big part of us doing this, is that we wanted the kids to see that their parents were giving them this stuff, not that some stranger on the street dropped off stuff. So we would do kind of secret handoffs. We would bring gifts in big garbage bags, black garbage bags to their house. We'd call them and have the parents come out, and they would hide it. We'd drop it off at one of their friends' houses. So we just did it a different way, and it was big for my wife and I to know that it was coming from those parents and not from us. Just because we know how kids react differently. And we want them to remember that stuff coming from their kids or from their parents, not from somebody else. So anyways, if anybody's got any questions, you can stop me. But this is a COVID. You can see I marked it. This doesn't matter what time of year, what's going on in the world. I mean, this can help at any point, whether we're in COVID or not. This is something that can help guys out. I actually had another slide on it. So this was us getting ready for a shipment to go out. One year we, on the top side there, one year we ended up raising a lot of money, and we ended up giving food cards out to the parents so that they can buy Christmas dinner as well, or groceries or whatever they needed to do. That actual year that we raised all kinds of money, we turned power back on. We fixed furnaces. We fixed a roof leak. We fixed a lot of different stuff that had just evolved into different things. Like people called and said, it's awesome that you're going to give us these gifts, but we haven't had power in 3 weeks at our house. And we're like, okay, well, looks like we're going to turn your power back on, and we're going to pay your power for 6 months. So it was just different things that ended up evolving into it that we did a lot of. So, all right. Business networking or private groups. So there's all kinds of business networking groups that are out there that you can be part of. There's BNI, there's Partners in Network, there's the Business Generator. I think there's all kinds of different groups that you can be part of that are strictly business to business, not necessarily community engagement, but business to business. And I always throw this in there. BNI, Business Networking International, is one of the groups throughout my entire career of being an entrepreneur that I've been part of. There might have been a couple years that I haven't been a part of it here and there, but over my 22 years as an entrepreneur, I have been part of BNI for most of the 22 years. Everyone has their different opinions of the different groups. I am not a fan of BNI having to get up every morning once a week and have to be there at 7:15, but I do it, and I have my team do it because BNI, I feel the way that it's set up, the way that they create and have to do the one-on-ones, and the way that they make some things work gets the most bang for your buck, even though it's probably the most expensive one out there. So you don't have to start in a BNI. BNI costs about $700 your first year, and then after that it's about $550 a year. But if you really look at your commissions in real estate, obviously if you get one deal, it pays for itself, right? So, BNI for me has been awesome. Just last year, we did about $4 million off of BNI in business. And that's big. Our residential team back in the day when it was hopping, doing 150 to 180 units a year, we would have probably 10 to 15% of our deals came out of BNI. So it can be a big part of your business depending on how you want to do it. Now, it doesn't have to be a BNI. There's other ones that are out there that are cheaper. I believe we were in Partners in Network here for a while. I had a team member in it, and I think it was way cheaper. I think you paid lunch, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was a lot cheaper than BNI. But just know that there's certain groups out there to be a part of that takes you an hour a week, hour and a half a week to be a part of. And what it does is not only do you have yourself going out there and maybe your team members or whoever, but you have 30 other people that are now your walking billboards that are looking to get you business. So currently we are in 4 BNI groups. My commercial group right now is. So it's important to be a part of that. Depending on what you got going on, National Public Radio is a good one because it's going towards the community. There's a lot of things that National Public Radio gives back and has some different programs that you can be a part of it as a business owner that are low cost. You can see here that we were a part of one of their fundraising campaigns. So our team went and made phone calls for the day, and we were all over the radio station for that day because we were the ones making the calls. You can see there we sponsored a concert one time in the park. That was their largest concert of the year. And really that sponsorship right there was almost a trade-off along the way because of my involvement in the other non-for-profit. So they said, because you give back so much to the other group, we're going to help you out and put you on this billboard for this event, because we feel like we need to award you for your time and energy that you and your team has put into it. So it kind of works both ways. I didn't ask for that. They gave me that, right? So depending on what you listen to and kind of what your interests are, National Public Radio was an interest of my wife's. So I kind of jumped on board and looked into getting involved, and it ended up working out really well for us throughout the years. Sports sponsorships, these are easy. These are easy. So this is putting your sponsorship on the back of a jersey, right? And the back of T-shirts. So a good example I like to give here is we had beach volleyball in an area. We're sitting at the bar. I wasn't there for beach volleyball, but I'm sitting at the bar watching beach volleyball, and I'm seeing all these. There was 3-4 courts, and they're all in regular T-shirts. None of them are matching, and I'm like, this is driving me crazy. I've been in sports my whole life, and everybody should match when they're on a team. And I'm like, I don't get it. Why don't they have matching shirts? So I walked over to one of the teams, and I said, well, how come you guys don't have matching shirts? They're like, we don't want to pay for matching shirts. I'm like, what if I paid for matching shirts? And the guy's like, what do you mean? I said, what if you guys came up with your team name, put it on the front, and I put my logo on the back? I'll get you 12 shirts next week. And the guy's like, sure, okay. Well, then I was thinking, wait a second. So I went to the league guy who runs the league for the volleyball, and I said, hey, I got an idea. Everyone looks mismatched out there. I think it's crazy. Everyone should have the same color shirt. He goes, yeah, they never want to pay for it. I said, I'll pay for the entire thing, all the teams. And he's like, really? I said, yeah, I'll pay for all the teams, different colors. They can put their team name on the front. And he's like, if you want to. I did that for 4 years.
And that's when you call my company to do your printing and you employ.
Yeah, Myra.
Come on, Jack.
I do already. Didn't you do? You probably did.
That's right. That's why they look so good.
So anyways, it's easy to do. I understand that can cost some money. I do. But you can start small. You can actually go to those people and say, hey, the shirts are $10. You pay $5. I'll pay $5. There's different ways you can do to make this stuff happen. And some of these don't even cost that much. I mean, the baseball jerseys, I don't have a picture of my son's team from here in Florida, but I think I paid $125 and I was up on the back of the kids' jerseys. It doesn't cost much to make it happen. But there are some ways to do it, to get out there. We've done golf balls. We've been part of baseball. I did bowling shirts one time for a team. They came to me. So how I did it is we would post regularly on our Facebook saying, are you part of a sports team, an adult sports team, and you need T-shirts? Do you need this? Do you need that? We'll sponsor your team. And then they would come back and they would say, yeah, hey, we do need a sponsor. And yeah, that's where you get it. I mean, shirts can get done fairly cheap, and if you can find somebody like Myra that'll run a small amount for you, it works out perfect. To be able to do. So tailgating, I won't go into this very long, but tailgating, you can see we put our tent up there. We would use this for past clients. I was crazy, so I'd bring our full grill out there. We had games. You can go as far as little as you want. And then you can see what happens here. Your clients go on social media and they start posting that they hung out with you and thanks and doing, for being out there. But, when Jackson would come out, you can see people were kind of messing around with his head over there on the left-hand side. You got to be very cautious around children with breaking apart the costume. You not only will scare the children, but the parents will yell at you, because we've had that failure happen where we had a guy change and it was not in a discreet area, and we had a mother yell at us, and she deserved to yell at us because we just weren't thinking that was something that could be a challenge. So we learned our lesson on that. All right, photo booth. The photo booth is kind of neat. And again, we went overboard on this. You don't need to. We fell into this organically. Actually, my son was taking pictures one day with the camera, and he's like, I want to print these photos out. So we bought a photo printer because he was kind of into photography, and we thought maybe he'll be a photographer. So we went and bought a nice color printer, photo printer. And then the kids one day were asking about, look, can you take pictures of us being funny? And the next thing you know, we realized, wait a second, this equipment can be used for a photo booth. And that's what we did. It was a nicer camera that I bought for taking photos in houses before we were using. I had an in-house marketing person at one point instead of going to an external photographer, which is never a good idea to have an internal photographer. Use the professionals. But we had a nice camera that we bought, but it ended up working out very well. We would do all kinds of different events. We were 6 years straight at a couple schools when they would do their school carnivals. And we did it a couple different ways. You can see the equipment here. I'll come back to in a second because I'm already talking about how they lay out. But you can see we did our logo, the backdrop in the back there. We actually had, if you go back, hang on, I'll explain a couple things here. So we had our backdrop in the back, and then the actual photo thing, you can see that we would put the school on it, and then we put our logo at the bottom. On the left-hand side, I was contacted by the Art Education Association. They were doing a teachers conference, and one of the teachers called me and said they wanted a photo booth. So I came in and I said, I'll do it, but I want to put my logo on it. So that's kind of how we did it. Now there was a school here, on the bottom left, Oakland. They wanted to use their own backdrop that the kids made. So that was fine. I didn't care, right? So they used their background, and I just was able to have my logo on side of it. We went to the hand-me-down. We didn't hand-me-down. We went to the consignment shop, and we found different stuff to put into the photo booth box. And then the schools would buy stuff, and the parents would buy stuff, and then we ended up with all kinds of stuff because they were never going to use it again. So it's kind of fun. So we did all kinds of different things. We would actually go to kids' birthday parties. We would bring Jackson and the photo booth to kids' birthday parties. And we would set it up and take photos of the kids, and they'd be able to share them. And we put, so-and-so's birthday on the photo thing. Okay. So we ended up buying a photo booth software that was $40, and it's called, forgot the name of it because we haven't done it in such a long time. I think it's actually called Photo Booth. But it's a software that connects right into your computer. And there's two ways of doing the photo from the camera to your to the program. And today it's really easy. You can actually use your iPhone. You don't even have to use a nice camera. Again, this stuff doesn't have to get super expensive. It's just an easy way to be able to get yourself out there. And the software actually designs it to where it prints out as a full 4x6 or a 5x7, whatever you want to buy. And then we would just take a pair of scissors and cut it. And that's how we ended up getting the two sides of it. It's fairly easy to do. I usually brought one of my kids with me, and they cut the photos coming out of it, depending on how busy we were. It was pretty easy. And we would do it for home shows. We did it for all kinds of different things. Photo booth was probably used once a week. I had a marketing person that would go out and do that. Volunteering at schools. Volunteering at schools is kind of a neat thing. I volunteered at school an hour a week for multiple years at my kids' schools. You can do it too. They're always looking for volunteers at all the counties around here are looking for volunteers. I was math. I like numbers, so I would always help the kids with numbers and play games with them. There's all kinds of different ways you can do it, but it's an hour a week. What happens? You end up getting business from the teachers because the teachers want to give back to you. So they start passing your name around that you're a real estate agent that's been volunteering in their classroom for 6 months or a year. Be purposeful about it. Say that I'm going to go volunteer in school for an entire school year. It's fun. Again, you got to like kids, but you can volunteer in other aspects of the school too. They have admin volunteers. You can do stuff in the office. So there's kind of different things you can do there. Sponsorship of fundraisers. This was one that the community college, they had a comedy night that they were doing every year. And that comedy night, we would go to it because it was really fun, my wife and I. And then I realized there was no one ever sponsoring it. There was no one sponsoring it at all. So I went to them and I said, would you guys do sponsors? And she's like, well, I don't even know if the school allows sponsors. And I said, well, I think they do because I've sponsored other stuff at the school. So they went back. So the following year, I was the major sponsor for it. And it cost me like nothing. And I passed out koozies and passed out all kinds of stuff at the event. They let me go up on stage and speak. And it was crazy, all the different stuff that we did for that. And I ended up sponsoring that, I think, for 3 years. And then we ended up bringing in other sponsors to raise more money for the foundation along the way. So you can see they have a little astronaut. It was kind of fun. These are some of the people that won throughout the years. And then what's interesting is they spelled my name wrong there, but they called me and they had a suite at one of the semi-pro baseball facilities. And they called me and said, hey, we have a suite. No one's using it. Do you want it? You can have it for 20 people. And I'm like, really? For free? They're like, yeah, and it actually comes catered already. It's all paid for. So what did I do? I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. So I had this whole thing for free that ended up being me, my team, and all of our clients that came. And the clients thought it was us putting it on, even though they gave it to me because I was help sponsor something else. So, you know, it kind of goes around in circles here. All right, next thing, note cards. So how do you use note cards to engage in the community? Note cards, I always go on a little tangent about because note cards are awesome. I think note cards should be used every day in your business. You should be extremely purposeful and be able to send out 5 to 10 a week of note cards. So a lot of people are like, who am I going to send 10 note cards to every week? Well, this is what I say. Wherever you spend $1, wherever you spend 50 cents, 10 cents, you can write a note card. Wherever you spend money, remember that. Wherever you spend money, swipe your card, getting gas, going to the gas station, going to buy a t-shirt, going to the grocery store, whatever you're doing and you spend money, a note card can be written. So an example of that is my McDonald's story. So I was hooked on McDonald's Orange High C's for many years. They got rid of Orange High C now, but I used to go through the drive-thru at a particular McDonald's in our area almost every day, if not twice a day. And I would write note cards to the people that were actually giving me the Orange High C. And the McDonald's workers, you know, they're always friendly and, you know, they knew me as the Orange High C guy. And so I'd write a note card. Fast forward 5 or 6 years from that point, I was at a fundraiser and I know the owners of the McDonald's franchises, and I'm sitting at a table next to her and we're kind of talking, and she's like, what's the number one thing that you do in your business that you think you get the most like wow out of? And I said, handwritten note cards. And she's like, handwritten note cards? Really? All the stuff you do, handwritten note cards? I said, absolutely, handwritten note cards. And she's like, you know, I get this funny story. She goes, our one McDonald's has all these note cards like hanging from a wall back in our office. And it's the same guy that would write these note cards all the time. And he used to buy Orange High C's. I'm like, that's me. That was me. If you go back and look at those cards, that was me. I did that. She's like, you gotta be kidding me. And I'm like, no. She's like, it's the craziest thing. Those things they've been there for years. All these note cards, they would just tape them on and tape them on. And she goes, those kids would run around McDonald's and say, I got a card. And I made their day, right? You make their day. They remember you. Now, can I say that I got business off of it? off of that particular McDonald's? I don't know, but I know I made their day. Do I get business off note cards? I absolutely get business off of note cards. I mean, I use them today. I'm using them through COVID. People are still calling me. In the beginning of COVID, I was like, you think it's weird that I send a note card? I don't know. I'm doing it anyways. People are still calling me saying, hey, thanks for the note card. That's kind of cool to see that you wrote a note card in COVID. Note cards go a long way. What can be going a note card? Nothing. Hey, hope you have a great day. Love, Jack. That's it. People, that's all that's needed, right? You talk to somebody, you talk to for sale by owner, you talk to an expired, you meet somebody at the gas station where you pay, ask them their name, see if that's their real name. If you're from the restaurant industry like we are, sometimes people wear the name tag because they forget theirs at home and they have to wear a name tag. It's part of the protocol, and they just ask their friend to borrow theirs for the day. So sometimes you have to ask at a restaurant, hey, is Gina your name? And a lot of times they'll laugh and they'll say, yeah, or they'll say, no, it's actually Heather. So you got to ask. And where do you send it to? You send it directly to their workplace. That's where you send it. Because that's when they start going and showing everybody and showing their friends, oh, I got a note card. So there's always a conversation around branded versus unbranded note cards. There is conversation that can go either way. It can go both ways. I will tell you that there are certain situations where I have used unbranded note cards, and it was to my neighbors of my subdivision. And it was because I lived in a subdivision once. I wrote a note card to a guy, and his lawn was like all screwed up, and he spent all kinds of money on his front lawn. So I sent him a note card, branded one, by the way. Sent him a branded note card. And I said, oh, your lawn looks great. It's nice to see. Congratulations and all this stuff, right? So I give him a note card. A few months goes by, and I see him outside. Never see the guy outside. So I stop, and I said, hey, how you doing? I said, I'm the one that wrote you the note card. He said, your yard looks awesome. He's like, you're a piece of crap. And I'm like, what? And he's like, you were embarrassed of my yard, so now you're going to gloat and tell me how good job? You're just get out of here. Like, I don't want to talk to you. And you what are you going to sell my house now? And I'm like, no, I actually was saying how cool it is. And like, yeah, I know you spent a lot of money doing it. It's super cool what you did. And he's like, no, get out of here. And he got super mad at me. And obviously the guy's a grumpy dude, but I stopped using branded in my own neighborhood, and I started doing unbranded. So I write on a lot of note cards. I always do, and it's something that I've just always done. It's got ingrained in me. So is the conversation. I will do unbranded in my neighborhood. It's about the only spot that I've done unbranded. And then I use branded for everything else. And I guess just because that one grumpy guy. Now, do I have to listen to him and do unbranded? No, I could probably do branded everywhere. But and do you have to start with branded? No. Go to the dollar store. They're like $1 and you get 15 cards. Right? You don't have to spend money like what we did. As your business grows, then you can get branded cards, right? As you go. But right now, just go to the dollar store, buy cards, put your business card in there. But remember, you can write a card to anybody. Think about it for a second. Your servers, anything. That's where you can write a card to. So I'll get off my tangent now on note cards, but note cards can go a long way. All right, golf outings. We can all sponsor golf outings. But where you go here and you take it to the next step is a lot of times you can sponsor a hole, and they're going to put like our open house sign there. They're going to put a little sign there that says, hey, hole sponsored by, right? Take it to the next step. Call them and say, hey, can I put a tent up at that hole? Can I put a table up at that hole? And a lot of times these golf outings, they don't have that option. They're like, well, we were just doing signs. We didn't think anybody wanted to do a tent. Well, I'll give you another $50 if I can put my tent up. Okay. So then we would put tents up, right? We would do little games. We did a little chipping game here with plastic balls that they can chip into. I bought that little green guy there that I still have today. I bought it probably 10 years ago, and I bought it at the dollar store. We ran across it, and we bought it for the kids to mess around with, and now it's in our thing for outings. But this one here was for the soccer program. My wife played soccer at Illinois State, and they were doing a fundraiser. So he called me and asked me to donate, and I said, I'll as long as I can put a tent up and do all kinds of stuff, I'll donate to the golf outing or to the program, which we were already donating, but it was different. So anyways, it was fun. So then I went to the guy who runs the golf course and I said, hey, can I put my truck out on the course? And he's like, what? I'm like, can I put my truck out on the course by my hole? And he's like, I guess, but I have to drive it. If you're okay with me driving it, I'm like, I don't care. So he drove my truck out there and put it out on the course. So that's another reason why you can, use your branding as far as that goes. So, but think outside the box is the idea of what I'm saying here. Just because a fundraiser says a package is $100 or $200 and they're only offering this, think about what else you can do and call them. And if it's not an option on there, just go in with a low number. Just go in and say, I'll pay you another $25 if I can do this. They're there to raise money. They're not going to care. Project with a Cop. This is something that you can organize. This I ended up organizing with our non-for-profit and some other non-for-profits in the area. But I went to the police department and came up with the idea if they would come out and I got this from another community somewhere along the way. And I said, would you come out and do a project with the Boys and Girls Club out in the area? And they actually, not only did the local city police department come, but they called the sheriff's department, they called the state police, and they all came. And it was really, really cool because we had the kids bus, the boys and girls bus to a house, to a street that we actually closed off, and we did it. Now, as you can see, my logo is not on this flyer. Our non-for-profit is, but my logo isn't. And it was because one of the things that you'll learn is that if you do anything with the municipality, you can sometimes not be able to mix private and public funds. Okay, so let's say you did an event with the city of Tampa. A lot of times the city of Tampa is not going to let you put your logo next to theirs. And it's because they can't have constituents come to them and say, well, you helped Jack and his real estate team. Now I want money. I need you to support me and endorse me. So mixing private and public funds usually can't happen. Well, it can't happen, period. So my logo was on here when we first designed this, and I had to take it off because they came back and they're like, you can't have your logo on there. So anyways, what was still nice is it was me and my team that put together and organized the whole thing. We went to Home Depot. That's everyone in the orange shirts there. We went to Home Depot, and Home Depot supplied all the buckets. If you go to Home Depot today, well, I don't know about COVID, but if you go to Home Depot usually, and you ask them for a box of kids' projects, they're little bags. I don't know if you can see them on the tables anywhere, but they're little bags of like little wood things that they do every Saturday in Home Depot. Every Saturday in Home Depot usually has a kids thing that they do in the back of the store where they can build a little birdhouse, little jewelry box. Those things are used for the community. So if you walked in there and said, hey, is there any way, is our manager here, can I get a kids box, a box of kids projects that I'm going to use at a fundraiser? And they will give them to you unless they're out of them. But they're for the community. That's what they're there for. And if not, they'll usually say, well, if you give me a week, I'll get them in for you. I've never been turned down by a Home Depot. A Home Depot right here by our office at 19 and Curlew, I walked right in there and walked out with a box of 50 of them. My first try. So anyways, this is a great way to get different people involved. So again, think outside the box. Think about what you can do. Red Day. Most of us are probably Keller Williams on here, but there might be some other people. I know there is because I invited somebody. So Red Day is a day within Keller Williams that we shut down all of our offices and we do a community service project, and this happens across the entire world with Keller Williams. And it's Mo Anderson's birthday, which is our culture leader in our company that built our culture to what it is. And every year we do this on our birthday, and we go and we donate. This is actually the non-for-profit. This is the building that we bought with the non-for-profit, and I was able to get our office, our Keller Williams on that year to come and help do a whole landscape project and do all kinds of stuff. But what do you notice in these photos? That's there, my truck, right? So you can use your vehicle to go pick up supplies, right? And even if you just have a magnet on the side of your car, use it for Red Day. Go pick up supplies. Go to the event with your logo on the side of it. People want to see, they love to see it. So I just happen to be the person that has the truck that can pull the trailer to pick up the trees. Well, of course I am, right? Just like I want to be delivering the beds. We delivered all the beds for the bed blitz in the truck. So anyways, think about that kind of stuff and be able to see how you can actually use it. All right, so 5Ks. 5Ks are an easy one that you can get your hands into, a low amount of money to be a sponsor. Usually at the finish line of a 5K, there's usually a bunch of businesses that are there set up to give away free stuff, whatever the case may be. We would get into 5Ks all the time for $50, $75. And again, it was just a way to do it. This is a story that is super interesting that I always like to tell. So one year, Berkshire Hathaway started a 5K, and it was a huge fundraiser for the Shriners Group. And the Shriners Group is hospitals for kids that have certain types of sicknesses and stuff like that. And they were doing a fundraiser. So I called the girl who runs the 5K for Berkshire Hathaway, and I said, can I bring Jackson out to the 5K? And she's like, I don't know. That's kind of weird. Why would you do that? And I said, well, I don't know. I just want to be part of it. And she originally was like, I don't think so. I think that'd be kind of weird. This is a Berkshire Hathaway event. And she's like, I'll talk to him. And she's very nice, and I know her. And she's like, I don't know though. So she called back and she says, hey, they said no. So I called the owner of Berkshire Hathaway, and I basically put a guilt trip on him. And I said, listen, it's just another organization that's just trying to help out. I bet you we can probably have Keller Williams donate all kinds of money. The realtors would donate and join up. It'll be your event. It's a Berkshire event, but I'd still love to be there. Next thing you know, I have Jackson. They allowed me to put my truck on the route. I had a table set up at the end of it where I was handing out water with my logo on it. And there was basically no Berkshire Hathaway agents doing anything. They were just all there. They were volunteering. I shouldn't say they were doing anything. They were volunteering, and it ended up being a big race. The next year they start this website, and look who's on the website. On the Berkshire Hathaway run website is Jackson and the truck, which is awesome. It's so fun. But the funny thing about it is today, this race is now a Berkshire Hathaway Keller Williams race, which is the coolest part of the whole story. So obviously I haven't been there in many years to be part of it, but it is now a dual brokerage 5K, which is so cool to see happen off of it. But it's cool because, you know, sometimes people don't think about it. They don't think outside the box and where you can do it. But what's the worst that somebody could tell you? No, sorry, right? But you got to ask. Here's some pictures from it. People on our team and Jackson being funny. Another one is the inflatable 5K. This is a worldwide one. This is they have these all over. I actually in 2000, I don't remember what year, 2018 maybe. I bought out all the inflatable 5Ks here in Florida. This is when my team was looking at doing expansion all over the state of Florida. So I had Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Tampa, Sarasota, Key West, and Tallahassee. And we were the major sponsor for the inflatable 5K at all of those. So we were able to set up tables, and they actually let me speak at every start line. I'm not going to play it for you. I don't even know if it'll play through here, but they let me speak up top. So I would speak to the whole thing, and I actually started the race with the air gun. I was able to tell them who I was and all the different things that we did with Keller Williams and my team, and it was fun. And they had like six or seven different starting times, so I was able to speak 6 or 7 different times. And then we did all the water at the finish line, and then I had a booth and we gave away grill and some other stuff. But it was a big part of it. This next one is let me see where this is at. So this is actually when I running in the U.S., but you can see I actually have the Maricopa. This is when I was teaching in Arizona. I never changed it for this. I forgot actually. So if you go to running in the USA, you can then go to your county, and it keeps track of all the 5Ks that go on everywhere. And you can select your county. It's supposed to work in every state. So you got to check Florida. I haven't checked it yet for Florida. And then what you do is you call those people and say, hey, do you have any sponsorship levels? Can I come out, hand out water, or set up a table? Or, if you don't want to do all that, you can just volunteer. A lot of them will just say, yeah, you can volunteer. And again, you're amongst the volunteers now, right? To be able to communicate and have some good conversations with. So anyways, that's the website for that. This one was actually this is prior to me at Keller Williams. We had a little zoo in our area, and we had heard that the zoo was trying to do a fundraiser for new computers. And I was actually listening to a city commission meeting, and the city commission turned down buying of these new computers. So I went to the zoo and I said, what if I fundraised for you for the new computers? And they're like, really? So my team fundraised for the new computers for the zoo. We used it on social media, and we raised the funds for the new computers. And I think we bought them 3 computers. Then next thing you know, I have a little plaque at the zoo, and they gave me all kinds of free passes to give away year passes to a bunch of clients. And it was cool. And they did a little presentation in front of city commission of us giving the computers to them. And it was I just thought outside the box. I said, well, I don't have, and actually this was a little bit earlier in my career, and I didn't have the money to buy the computers. I'm like, well, I can fundraise them. I can find the money to do it. So that's what I did. I didn't have the money. Our team didn't have the money, but I fundraised for it. This was a cool one. We had an executive assistant that had Jessica, and she has major health issues, and it was a really sad story. And my father-in-law decided that he wanted to jump out of an airplane for his 70th birthday. And I was not about to jump out of an airplane. And then my wife said, well, I think I want to jump with him. And I'm like, are you crazy? And so then I said, well, if I'm going to jump out of an airplane, I'm going to do it for something more than his 70th birthday. So I'm thinking, and all of a sudden all this stuff happened with Jessica. And I was like, oh, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to jump out of the plane for Jessica. So I put it out there, and that I'm jumping for Jessica, and we ended up raising, today it's over $10,000 because this kept on rolling. And then somebody else jumped out of a plane for her later on. And so it was kind of neat. But by the time I jumped, I raised $4,000 in not that long of a time frame. So it was kind of cool. So it was just something I knew I was going to be doing. So let's attach it to something that you can raise money for. So that's what we did there. All right, Homes for Charity. You guys can use this in your business starting right now. What this is a way, this can be a value proposition when you're at a listing appointment. This can be used as an awesome way to get engaged in a community charity as well. So what it is basically you match up to a certain amount of money that a client is willing to give to a charity. You can do a charity of their choice, but you have to be careful because you want it to be a charity that is going to be local enough. And what happens is you donate whatever you want to say. So you're at the listing presentation and you say, we actually had a form that I cannot find anymore. Another group asked me for the form and I can't find it. But we had a form that said, you can pick your charity, put your amount in, and we'll match up to $500 up to what you do. So when the person closes, when they close, they write a check to the charity, and then you write a check to the charity. And that's how the charity fundraises, right? What do you think the charity does to help you sell that house? They market the house for you. They send it off to their mailing lists. They put it on their social media platforms. It was a great way. You basically get your hands, not necessarily their mailing lists, but they will take care of it for you. They'll put it in their newsletter, they'll email it out. And now they're doing marketing for you. And another way to maximize the opportunity for your seller to sell their home, right? So that's the whole idea behind it. And we had a letter that basically went out to the non-for-profit. And you have to be careful though, because you don't want them to give it to a national charity to where that national charity doesn't have a local reach. Does that make sense? you have to have a charity that has local reach because you got to be able to use their services to be able to make it happen, if that makes sense. So that's the letter that we would give out to the charity. And then we had a little thing that we'd use at the listing appointment. So at the listing appointment, it's a huge value proposition, right? You're helping the community. They're helping the community. You're saying that, hey, you're going to do a different way to market their home out, right? Where you're showing more over and above what another agent might do for them. So find some local charities, go talk to them prior to if you want, make a list and say you need to pick one of these charities, and then this charity will help us market your home. Another way to make yourself look a little bit different for value proposition. Facebook, we all do this now. This slide's old now, but we all do this. But the main idea here is that wherever you go, give a little shout out to where you're at. I'm actually not that good at it these days. I used to be really good at it. I'm not that good at it today. I need to get better at it, become more purposeful. But wherever you go, give them a shout out. Say where you're at. You can see that the one place was giving out free ice cream. So I did a whole little thing on free ice cream. Jimmy over here in the corner, he's actually a real estate agent with another company, but I became really good friends with him. He bought a restaurant. So I did a little share on Facebook of him, doing it. It goes a long way. People like to see that you're engaging the community and being able to do it. So another whole thing on this is that you can go out and interview business owners. You can do a little shout out to businesses. Once a week, go on your Facebook and be purposeful. Put in your calendar and say, once a week, I'm going to go on social media and I'm going to do this for this business, right? So it's just another way to do it on social media. Snapchat. There's all kinds of different things you can do with Snapchat. I thought I actually deleted this slide when I shortened this up, but Snapchat is a good way. You can make a little filters for it. So this is actually, we were speaking in, where was that at? It's in like Philadelphia, that Keller Williams. So we made a little filter and everybody in the room, we knew that Philadelphia office, the age of that office was 40 and under, and they had like 65 agents. So I gauged the class a little bit differently towards a little bit of millennial stuff. So we actually made this filter that they can go on their Snapchat right in the classroom, and they thought it was the coolest thing ever because you can buy this filter in a geographic area. I don't know a lot about it. I had somebody else do it in our marketing team, but it's really cool to be able to do. This was a Beyond the Books. This is actually a video that we made that I don't know if it'll play real good. I can maybe try. Yeah, I will play this because we're almost done.
Jack here. My wife and I had an awesome opportunity to go to Beyond the Books Educational Foundation fundraiser. They support innovation at District 87 and Unit 5. In a second here, you're going to see a video. Their special guest was scientist Bob, and he put on some cool stuff. Shut it, count me down from 10. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here's my wife's friend Katie and I, and scientist Bob. And then you'll see Justin Boyd, Country Financial, get his book signed for his kids. These books are great. Scientist Bob wrote them with another author. They had a lot of scientific stuff inside of kids' projects from all ages. You can check them out on Facebook. And then you can see here there's some cool things that they use to decorate the tables, which is a great event. Support local charities as much as you can. You can find these guys on Facebook at Beyond the Books Educational Foundation. We look forward to seeing you at the next local charity event so that we can all help in transforming our communities to be better places.
All right, so that video I actually did, and I did it through iMovie. And you can see it was pretty much all done through photos and a little bit of a video. And I know it sounds crazy, but if you have iMovie on your phone, you can do this so easy. iMovie is so basic that it doesn't have all these other options that you go a little crazy about and you're like, I can't do it. iMovie on your phone is really simple to do, and you literally drag and drop from your photos into iMovie, and then you can actually do a voiceover like what I did. So the video actually played while I voiced it over. is kind of how I did it. And you can do that for open houses. You can do that for all kinds of different things. But that took me probably 10 minutes sitting on the couch and putting that together to be able to use on social media. That video today, well, when I looked at it last year, it had like almost 14,000 views. That video on their Facebook page, not on mine. But it was me doing it, right? And it's because they used it. They used it as a little commercial for it. So accountability in the community, you can use that too. I wasn't working out for a really long time, and I decided to give away a little bit of if I didn't work out, I'd pay and donate to charities. And if I did work out, I'd donate. So it was kind of a win-win both ways. And I had a check on it every single day. And then people went and put their charities in on what they would want to donate it to. I think it ended up with like 300 or 400 different comments of people's different charities that they wanted me to donate money to. And it was kind of a cool way to do it, to help me stay accountable to what I want to do. And I involve the community inside of it. So just another way to look at it. I talked about interviewing other businesses. At one point in there, we were real heavy on this. I came up with a thing on Facebook when social media started getting real big, Around Town with Jack. And I went and I interviewed all kinds of different business owners and did all kinds of little videos. It became too much for me for when I was doing it at the time. And I have done this before, but now with technology, you can just do it right on Facebook, and you don't have to do all this fancy stuff and fancy equipment that we were using before. But easy way to do it, but it was called Around Town with Jack. Realtors Political Action, RPAC. If you aren't involved in that, it's a good way to take a look at it. It protects rights for homeowners. You get involved with this through NAR, or you can get involved with this through whoever, if you're with Pro or GTAR or whatever you're with. This is a good way. I was very involved in this in Illinois. I'm not involved with it here in Florida as much. I still donate, but RPAC is actually really important. I don't want to preach about it, but it is a good way to get involved in the community. Community Christmas open houses. This is our house. We'd have a huge party. We used to have it catered in for clients, for friends, for our neighbors. Every year we would have a big Christmas party at our house. So this is just another way to get involved. This is, if you guys remember when Katy, Texas and all that had all their flooding, we went down as a group and we went and demucked houses. If you ever demucked houses, it's pretty disgusting. It's pretty ridiculous that actually happens in lives, but anyways, we used it back and let people know what we did. Here's some photos from it. I'm going to skate through here because we're out of time here, but this is how do you find events is the next question. Honestly, Google. Facebook has events now, has an event tab on it. You can just go to Facebook events tab and it'll tell you what's going on around the community. And then obviously it looks like I taught in California. So we found a page in California that has Visit Folsom and then this other one. So you can do that here locally. All the different sites have all kinds of different stuff on them. But find out where the events are and then find out who's running the event and see how you can participate. Allied Partners is a big one. And then these are all the things that we would have. So we had a bag set. We had games. I bought a big game. This is another event that we were at. I have costumes that would go around the neighborhood with and trick or treat with the kids and just all being part of the community. These are all different things that we did. And then the other thing I want to show you real quick. Well, I'll show you guys at the end, or maybe you guys can see me. So this is a COVID thing that you guys can do. So there's a brewery, a Cawthorman's distillery. They're doing hand sanitizer. And if you guys have been in the office, you probably see these. I keep putting them up there so for people to grab. But we co-branded them. So Cawthorman's is on one side, and then we co-branded them and put them on the other side. So we've been dropping them off at our clients' businesses. We've been putting them here in the office for the agents to grab. But that's just an easy one to be able to do it. There's a kids kit up there in the top right-hand corner. If you work with a lot of families that have kids, we went to basically the dollar store and bought little kits, and we kept them in our cars, and it would just keep the kids busy, and then you look like a hero to the kids. So whenever they came in the office, or our buyer's agents would all have them in their cars and bring them out. And especially when the kids started getting bored, you'd bring out a kids kit and give it to them. And just got to be careful not to put crayons, because we learned our lesson with crayons. They melt. So you might want to look in the markers or something else. But anyways, that takes care of that. Other ideas, we used to do fundraisers at bars. Jackson would go to open houses on busy streets and hold the open house signs up for us to draw traffic to the open houses, or he'd go out on the corner, hold up an open house. So the big question here, and we're done. Sorry, we're a couple minutes over, but the big things for you guys to look at right now and kind of question. And if you remember earlier, I talked about finding some nuggets out of this. I hope you guys took out a ton of notes and were able to pick up some things that you can implement in your business literally tomorrow, or when you guys are put in a situation and you think about something that came in the class, and hopefully you can gain something from it to look at and come up with your own idea. So the questions is what are your interests? What do you like to do every day? Are you sports? Do you have a hobby? Do you like to build? Are you in the carpentry? What are your skills outside of being a real estate agent? And then use those, take a look at those and say, okay, where can I use those, my interests and my skills in the community, right? And then once you have that, you can then go and say, okay, I have that. I know what my interests are. I know what I have skills in. Now I'm going to go find a non-for-profit or go find a community organization where I can use those skills. So an example, you might like to put on social events. You might be a great party planner, okay? If you're a great party planner and you love to put on social events, go be the social chair at the Chamber of Commerce. Go to a non-for-profit and say, I want to throw a big party, and everyone that comes, it's going to be $20 to get in, and I'm going to donate all the money back to you, right? So find out what you like, find out what your skills are, and then run with that. And as I taught my daughter at a really young age, don't listen to your drunk monkey. If you listen to your drunk monkey, you will not think of community engagement as something that you can do, right? And just like anything else in your business, if you keep listening to your drunk monkey, you're not going to get anywhere. The drunk monkey is going to keep telling you that you can't do it, and you can do it. Doesn't matter what your skill level is. It doesn't matter how long you've been in the real estate industry. You can be in it a week, and you can be in it 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. Doesn't matter where you are. Community engagement's never going to go away, and it is always a way to pick up leads, no matter where you are in your business. So I do hope that you guys all took something from this. And this is one of my classes, like I said, that I traveled around. I do have a couple other classes that I do, but this is my favorite one. And again, I had to shorten it up a lot. So hopefully you guys got some things out of it to be able to move on and make some things up. So I'm going to skate through these slides and put up my contact information up. Hold on. Let me see what the quickest way for me to do this. Or not. That slide's gone. So we'll just go back with that. All right, so I am, sorry, I'm just gonna shut this off. Screen share. Well, I appreciate everyone being here with me today. I'm a commercial director in the office, like I mentioned earlier. So if you ever have any commercial referrals, love to have them come my direction. And if you have any commercial questions along the way, or we're going to be launching here very soon a co-op opportunity for marketing, and it involves some video that we can make along with you to be able to help you get some commercial referrals and generate some extra income in your pipeline. So look forward to having that. Again, if you have any referrals now or anything like that, please let us know. And if you have any questions in regards to community engagement or anything on the residential side, I can help in pretty much any way that any questions you might have. So does anybody have any questions before I log off here? I have to get to an ALC meeting. So anybody got any questions?
Thank you for today. It was really awesome.
Well, thanks for joining. Thanks for hanging out.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Thanks. All right. Well, I will see everybody later.
Thank you, Jack. Great information.
Thanks. Have a good day, everybody.
You too. Bye-bye.